Finding strength. How do we do it? All right, let's jump into it. So we have four ways to look at this, or four aspects of how we're going to tackle this. One is understanding the problem. One is understanding the solution. Then we understand the pathway, and then we practice the technique. Okay, so a lot of times we think of strength as something external that takes effort. The reason for that is that it's because we're disconnected. That's the plain simple truth. We are not aligned with our own system, with the source of our own system, what I call your energetic signature. So this is that part of you that it's you, and that it's here to express itself, communicate, and succeed. I don't mean success in terms of a job or money or anything like that. Success just means to continue. Okay, so it's an evolutionary process. If we are not connected and aligned with that, we tend to move outside of ourselves or be outside of ourselves. We become disconnected from ourselves. And then our system tries to compensate and tries to bring us back into alignment. And that's when we come into problems, because we fight it. We think that the way we're doing things is wrong. It's not. It's the fact that our system is misaligned. We're not connected to our source, and therefore we've set up all these functions in our life. We've set up this system that is not an expression of us. And so we're putting energy into these things which are outside of ourselves, and we lose power. So when you think of strength, don't think of power, think of empower. Okay, so it comes from within. How do we figure that out? So when we think of strength, we find a binary. Okay, so the binary here is containment. So we're not exercising any strength whatsoever. We're containing, we're holding it all in. We're not moving, we're not acting, we're not doing anything. No power whatsoever. We're holding it here. Eccentric means to push outwards. Okay, so fully eccentric would mean as much power as we could do. You're fighting. We're being putting it out there. We're pushing weights, or we're pushing the lawnmower, or doing some kind of activity. The reason that gets tiring is because how many times if you go, okay, this is it, I'm going to the gym, right? And you go to the gym and you start to do weights and oh God, I don't want to be doing this. It's because it's not a natural expression of yourself, and it's because you're trying to do these things. Where's my chalk? I've got to be careful this doesn't fall down. All right, so this is you. This is your source of power. Okay, coming off, and these are natural expressions coming off your system. At the end of these things, we have different functions. So what normally happens is we listen to an ad, or we listen to someone else try to tell us, oh, you should be doing X, Y, Z in order for your strength. But it's out there. It's not connected to us. And so we go out and do this, and we end up finding that we've got no power base. All right. So what we're doing so the problem is that it's all held in. We need to be able to express, but from our core, okay, or from our center. So we can not do anything, and we can go too far. And what we want to do is, because our system's trying to compensate for us being misaligned, that's what when we have weakness, that's what the weakness is. It's because our system's trying to bring us back into alignment. Until we do so, we're not going to have enough power to do anything. We're not going to have the strength to do anything because we've not connected to anything. And so that our system trying to bring us back in, and we fight it, and then we feel weak. So what we want to do is start to express ourselves, and we can go over the top and then come back, and then slowly we want to find, once we correct the movements, so it's all directional. Energy's directional. So if it's going too far one way, we want to go the other way until we can find our balance point. When we've found our balance point, we find the neutral state. I'll come back to that. So how did I many years ago, my back gave out on me. I had it doesn't matter. 2 years agony, and I had to rebuild. And this is where a lot of this work came from, because I had to rebuild mind and body. And I couldn't afford to get a personal trainer. And I was just like, okay, I can figure this out. So I just used to go out. The only thing I could do of the morning was, I had about 3 minutes before the pain set in. So I used to go out, fall on the floor, and just start to roll around. And I was like, I couldn't do much. So I just had to do whatever, and I was like, or just move. And I was like, okay, I just need to, move my body. And I was like, okay, that feels okay. And this links in with a lot of with some of the other protocols as well. I'm not trying to upsell you on that. I'm just saying that when you start to move and connect your awareness with that movement, it starts to feel good. The reason for that is and I've mentioned this in another protocol. It's called the dopamine reward system. Now don't worry about the name. In essence, it's a learning system. When we're starting to walk as a child and we're watching people walk and they're walking along, and it's a pattern. And so we look at that and we go, okay, the pattern's this. So if I just do this, I'll be able to walk. So when we get the pattern, our body rewards us with dopamine. It says to our nervous system, yes, that neural connection is the one we want between the bodies and the muscles and everything. Strengthen it. If we get walking and we miss a bit and the pattern goes out of whack, our body says, we need to cut that connection and start again. And it releases, I think it's cortisol, but I could be wrong. It doesn't matter. What we're trying to do is connect mind and body to the pattern, to the energetic pattern. Okay? The mind sees, body feels. And we can piggyback that. So when we are first starting to move, if we feel it and just follow a pattern, okay, it feels good. The next thing is the pathway. So the pathway that takes us there is the pathway that can bring us back. So we didn't just all of a sudden become weak. There was this sort of natural or slow degradation, could be a fast degradation, but there was this thing that got us down to this point where we felt weak and we felt disconnected. So what we're trying to do, once we're working on the binary balance, so this idea of between containment, of just holding all that energy in and expressing it and holding it in until we get that balance point. In the middle is the natural state of strength or empowerment, which is expression. Okay? Any movement we do that needs strength or power is an expression. It's outwards. We receive impressions and we project expressions. Now, what normally happens is the way you do one thing is the way you do all things. So if you are weak in one area, you are normally weak in others. Now, we can try these glasses. We can work on strength across multiple areas, and in the written guide, you'll get multiple areas to express yourself and to explore the concept of strength and expression. Okay, so the pathway is expression, and it's not just. So, I originally started to share this material in a local school and teaching kids how to regulate their emotions. And then I was like, oh, I wonder if it can apply to physical as well. So I became a personal trainer and I opened up a fitness studio, what I called a mind-body fitness studio. And so I started to play with this because what I found when I was building up the strength in my back at home, I found that I didn't follow any kind of curriculum or anything. I would just walk out and say, okay, what does my body need to do? And I was like, all right, I just need to add resistance to that. And then I'd finish one movement, I'd go, oh, my body would just naturally want to, move into other areas. And so I would turn that into an exercise. They're all exercises. I would just make my own sequence. And I took this into the studio environment, and I didn't have there was no programming, none of that. People would come in and I'd say, what's going on? What do you want? Where do you want to get to? And it's like, I say, okay, and they would, you could sit, they'd be stuck there. It's like, all right, let's just, binary. Let's move it across through the full range of value. And it's like, okay, yeah, all right, yeah, I've done that. All right, so what's next? And normally you would have to balance it, a push with a pull, right? This is in programming 101, but it's just a natural expression of the system. It's balanced. If you go out one way, you've got to come back in the other way to balance it. If you go all the way out to eccentric, you can't stay out there. You can't stay out here. You can't stay out here. It's a loop. It comes back in. Comes always back to neutral. Okay? So, to build strength, we need to connect to our body and to connect to our inner source, and then we need to learn to project. So we can make noises. We can make sounds. We can draw. Doesn't matter what. In fact, if you stick to whatever, so remember, the mind sees, the body feels. So at first, and back before I started to build strength physically, I had a lot of trouble expressing myself, funnily enough. Whenever I went to talk, because I was disconnected, because of trauma and other things, I might go into that, I was dissociated from myself. So meant to be here, I was out here. And so I had no connection to my source. And so whenever I tried to speak, my throat would constrict. And it was basically, because I wasn't connected to my source and I wanted to express myself, I just chose the first thing that came to mind. And so I'm trying to, and I'm scattered all over the place, and then that takes effort because there's no connection, there's no flow. So my system would try to compensate that by trying to get me to shut up. It would constrict. So you're babbling, you're not expressing yourself, your true self. You need to come back to neutral, you need to reconnect with yourself, and then you need to go from there. And so when people finished a session with me, a personal training session, they go, God, I feel energized. And because I would show them how to access and allow the expression of their natural system. So all of this is a system. This is all, and system has different functions. And when those functions are aligned with your blueprint, what I call your energetic signature, it naturally expresses itself. And so we can practice that. We can practice, oh, and at first it's going to be like, oh, and then we might go, oh, and it's like, oh shit, that was a bit loud. So we just come back a bit. Then we just slowly, and we can use rhythm, and we can just, and then it's like, all right, what's next? And we always come back to neutral. That's the key. Once we've learned to correct the movement, we want to stabilize. And that's what the neutral workshop is for. I'm not trying to sell you on that. I'm just saying the point in between this binary value where we can access strength, which is the simulation of strength. This is all this is. We're simulating this. You can come up with your own techniques. It doesn't matter. As long as you are simulating expression, you'll get the feel of it. And then you'll get to see where if there's any tension or anything, you'll go, okay, that's not my true expression. Make sense? So the body is about radiating outwards. So you want to start to, and it might sound silly, but it's as simple as moving out and back, moving out and back, okay? Expressing yourself. You can express yourself through pulling in because you are, okay? You're drawing things to you. You're still expressing yourself. You're expressing that directional movement. You can express downward movement. One of the things I used to teach people to do if they were doing a movement, for example, the squat, I'd say just be aware of what's happening in your body, and this is the pathway. So the path that takes you there is the same path that can bring you out. So I wouldn't count or anything. It's like, because you count, you're thinking of the 10. So you're already out here. But if you're just focusing on the energy in the field, you just go with that energy and you allow that energy to bring you out. So that's what I consider, what I call empowerment. You're just tuning in to your natural energy system and you're allowing that to express itself in whatever way is relevant at that time. And that's dependent on you, no one else. That's dependent on you. As soon as you realize that, you'll have more power than you ever need. You'll have more strength than you'll ever need. It needs to build, obviously, but it doesn't take much. Okay, so I only eat once a day, and I'm not advocating anything at all. I'm not making any claims, nothing. That's just how I am. Okay, it's how I've always been. I've only ever eaten 2 meals, but nowadays I sometimes have to. Doesn't matter. But of a morning, 3 to 5 times a week, I swim 2Ks. Now, if I listen to other people, they say, well, you can't do that. Well, I can, because I do. I've been doing it for years. It's just I've learned to access my inner energy. I don't need, it doesn't take effort for me to do it. There's no effort. It's just a natural expression of who I am. And the only reason it takes effort is because it's not a natural expression of who you are. Maybe doing weights is not for you. Maybe doing that particular exercise is not what your body and mind need right now. Okay? So, we are correcting the compensation of our system with these protocols. If you wanted, this could be all you need. And you might just be able to figure out the rest out for yourself, because all we're doing is taking this concept and idea and putting it in different perspectives. All you have to do is figure out what the binary value system is, how to find the center, how to simulate how to simulate what that is, what strength is, and then how to use your mind and body to simulate that. So we simulate expression by radiating outwards, expression out. We simulate expression through our mind by how we communicate. Pretty simple. Always, so once we've learnt to correct the movements, and that we always coming back to the middle, always coming back to the neutral state. Because the neutral state, once you can come back to that, you'll find that you'll have access to unlimited energy. You'll also be able to connect to your inner self, what I call your energetic signature, your blueprint for who you are, why you're here, and what you're meant to be doing. It's all there, you just have to align with it. And the neutral state is where that connection is made, and it's where these your potential comes from. And that's what we play around with in the community. Again, not trying to say on that, just telling you what I do. So, play around with this protocol. If you have bought, or if you want to buy the other protocols, there's 6. They cover the big 6 problems that we all kind of face, struggles. Get the bundle. Okay, that's $34, and you get an extra one. The Get Unstuck protocol, which is basically putting all of this together, and I show people how to move intentionally with mind and body. And then the neutral workshop is only $34. Okay, it basically covers the cost of my platform use. All right. Like I said, this may be all you need. This is definitely a standalone. You don't need anything more than that to live a peaceful life. But if you want to explore your potential, who you are, why you're here, what you're meant to be doing, in the community we develop a living practice which enables that natural expression to just come out of you, to emerge naturally. Okay, it's not woo-woo, it's how systems work. It's a systems approach. All right? If you've got any questions or having any problems with this, just reach out. Simple as that. Okay, I will do my darndest to help you in whatever way. But this should all make sense. If it makes sense and it feels right, then there's nothing else. Okay? So, play around, have fun, and see you on the other side.